Hello! A young guy named Riki-Oh is arrested for murder and sent to prison for 10 years. One can usually survive this sentence in normal prisons, but in the future, all prisons have become private, which means that the owners can set their own rules inside their dark cages. The scoundrels use their prisoners as slaves, but they have no idea yet who is now locked up with them. The bus with the prisoners drives through the guarded roadblocks to arrive at the maximum security prison. It, like all other detention facilities in the world of the future, belongs to a private company. Among the prisoners is Riki-Oh, who has been sentenced to 10 years for assault and murder. He immediately displays disobedience and walks through the metal detector frame despite the guards' orders to stay where he is. A signal goes off and the guards rush at him, thinking the guy is armed, but x-rays show there are 5 bullets stuck in his body. The prison is divided into 4 blocks based on the sides of the world. Each block has a captain among the prisoners, who establishes his own rules with the permission from the administration. They call themselves the Gang of Four. One morning, the North Cell's captain's right-hand man, Samuel, and his henchmen beat and humiliate an elderly inmate in the bathroom. The man is almost done serving his time, but the thug threatens to deny him parole because nothing is done on the block without his permission. Samuel smashes the toy train that Ma wanted to give his son, and the man loses his temper and lunges at his abuser with a chopper. The younger rival snatches the weapon and hits the old man right in the face with the blade. A security guard arrives at the screams and sides with the gang. Suddenly, Riki appears, tripping Samuel, who falls face first onto a nail-plated piece of wood. The henchmen take the wounded boss away, not daring to attack the fearsome fighter. Later, the bandaged bandit plans his revenge. He is offered to hire a thug named Zorro, who was once again put on solitary confinement for disorderly conduct. Samuel meets with a guard to speed up the release of the man he needs. For the favor, he shares a part of his salary with the man, which he receives from the prison administration. The next day, the guards find old Ma and tell him that he has been denied parole. He is accused of sending letters home to his wife and child without permission. The man says that this is slander and he didn't do it and gets punched in the face for this. The old man cannot go on living without the hope of seeing his family again. At night, his lifeless body is found hanging from a rope. The prisoners discuss that the old man was arrested for driving his wife to the hospital and accidentally hitting a man on the way. Riki hears them talking and goes outside to bid the old man farewell. He breaks the chains and puts the train, which he fixed with his own hands, into the man's arms. In the morning, while Riki and Samuel are washing up, Zorro shows up in the shower. The fat man attacks the guy, throwing him back against the wall with a powerful blow. Riki gets up and meets the giant's next attack with a punch of inhuman strength. He punches a hole through Zorro's stomach, and he collapses to the floor in agony. Samuel rushes into the fight with a nail in his hand, and Riki allows him to pierce his palm. Not feeling any pain, he breaks his attacker's fingers and kills the captain with a single blow similar to a shotgun blast. The guards urge Riki to surrender, but they get interrupted by North Cell's captain, Hai. He wants to meet the fighter and invite him to join his gang. But Riki doesn't seem interested. He is taken to his cell, where the guy begins to feel severe pain in his chest. Riki is having trouble breathing, and he remembers how he was once visiting his parents' grave in the cemetery when he was still in high school. There, he met a stranger who turned out to be his uncle. Zhang Kui, a skilled kung fu master, asks his nephew to demonstrate his skills, and Riki gets into a frenzy, trying to hit the man. His uncle easily deflects his attacks and takes the boy as his apprentice. Since then, they have been training at the cemetery every day. Riki learns to control the energy of Chi so that he can easily smash huge rocks with his fists and repel attacks by deflecting them with his chest. The guy comes back from his memories into the real world and is taken to the deputy assistant warden, nicknamed Cyclops. He is eating a fancy steak with the iron hook on his left arm. He is also missing an eye, which has been replaced by a prosthesis. The assistant interrogates Riki about why he would kill a powerful mobster and where he has been hiding for 2 years after he left the orphanage. Riki refuses to answer the warden's questions, and he forces the guy to come to the table, showing him a letter from the outside. Cyclops pierces the prisoner's arm with a hook and strikes him in the face. The villain threatens to do something to his girlfriend, whose picture was in the envelope. Riki goes on a rampage and breaks the table in half, breaking free from the man's grip. He tosses the guard aside, and in a leap, reflects his bullet with an iron tray. The guy is ready to kill the cornered Cyclops, but stops himself at the last moment, picks up the photo, and walks away. In his cell, Riki retrieves his flute. He used to learn to play it at school. To the music, he reminisces again. A year ago, he was spending his happiest days outdoors with his sweetheart, Kiko. In the morning, Samuel's henchman, who is now left without his boss's protection, is harassed by the inmates he has wronged, threatening to kill him. Warden Hai interrupts the execution, but the inmate Quan is unhappy that they are prevented from delivering justice, and he questions Hai's authority. For this, Quan gets stabbed in the face with a blade, after which Cyclops drags the man away with his hook. The assistant warden wants to teach Riki a lesson and gives Hai a knife to do the dirty work for him. The rivals meet in the prison yard, where Hai has tied the wounded Quan to a huge wooden cross. The warden sees a reflection of himself in the guy and is sorry that he will have to finish him off. Riki demands that Quan be released before the fight begins, but the other prisoners warn him that it won't work. If Hai has revealed his tattoos, there's no stopping him. The bandit pulls out a knife and launches shards of glass into his opponent's face, blinding him. Riki is severely wounded in the arm and lies on the ground. He finds an opportunity to rinse his eyes, and the rest of the prisoners cheer him on in his fight against the wardens. In one move, he dodges the enemy's strike and knocks his eye out with a backhand slap. Afterwards, he shocks everyone by tying the blood vessels on his arm in a knot to stop the bleeding. Hai can't take it anymore and tries to commit harakiri. This turns out to be his last attempt to strangle Riki with his own intestines. But the fighter sends him to the afterlife with a powerful blow to the skull. The guy pulls the cross out of the ground, but it's too late to save Quan. The enraged prisoners riot and try to get their hands on Cyclops, but he is protected by the other 3 captains. Everyone urges Riki to take revenge and eliminate the Gang of 4, but he doesn't want to cause any more deaths. The guy carries Quan's body away, and Cyclops makes an attempt to offer him a place as a captain of the North Block. Riki sees the murdered Hai's godson, Alan, grieving for his father. The fighter shows the boy how to extract a tune using a green leaf, but Alan can't do it. His tongue was cut off by the captains, who don't want him to blab about their shady dealings. After hearing this, Riki gives him his flute. The joyful fellow offers him poppy leaves in return, which he received from the captain of the South Block. Shocked, Riki realizes that the bandits have set up a plantation on the prison grounds. The 3 captains gather to discuss what to do with Alan, who has defected to their enemy. The Inhuman bandits show Hai's mutilated body, which was allegedly abused by Riki. After this, Alan gets brutally murdered and thrown out into the street to intimidate the other traitors. Riki is shocked by the death of his mentee and breaks the flute he gave to the boy. Cyclops is furious that people outside his inner circle have found out about his poppy plantation. In the meantime, Riki is already setting fire to the greenhouses, destroying the crops. The leader of the Western Bloc, Huang Chung, catches up with Riki and engages him in a fight. He too knows a special kung fu technique and delivers a fatal blow to the arsonist's heart muscle. While the prisoners are taking advantage of the commotion, attempting to escape, Cyclops is informed that the director will soon return from a vacation in Hawaii. In panic, he demands that Plan Zero Alarm be executed. The wounded Riki lies on the ground, recalling the words of his teacher. He finds the strength to overcome the mortal wound and engages 3 captains at once. One of them ties up Riki using his daggers on ropes and prepares to finish him off. But the thug Tarzan takes the guy in a grip and declares that he wants to finish the job himself. While the captains argue, the Zero Alarm plan is launched, and automatic cannons mounted on the walls start shooting at the men. Everyone tries to take cover, and Tarzan takes the prisoner into a room that suddenly begins to fill with liquid cement. Riki manages to break through the iron door and pull out the stunned captain. Cyclops is ready to sacrifice Tarzan, but his plan has failed, and the warden meets Riki on the stairs. The fighter wants to deal with Cyclops and prove that he was illegally growing poppies on the prison grounds. But that's when the cement treacherously dries up and restricts the guy's movements. He is captured, and the next day the director arrives at the prison. He is accompanied by his spoiled son, Wang, who has no respect for Cyclops. The fat kid stumbles on the carpet, and for this, the director deprives the inmate, who had laid out the red carpet, of his eye. Afterwards, the director reprimands Cyclops for the prisoners who were killed in his absence. The man is furious when he learns that the poppy plantation has been destroyed by fire. Cyclops shows him the culprit, Riki, who is shackled and cemented from head to toe. But upon seeing the guests, Riki suddenly breaks free. In a quick dash, he grabs the director through the bars and promises to punish him for the opium trade. Wang whines and screams for Cyclops to save his father, and then Tarzan breaks through the cell wall. He throws Riki off and secures him by bending the bars of the cell. The guy gets beaten for the amusement of the director and his son, but Riki again manages to escape imminent death and breaks free of the hold. With an uppercut, he deprives the enemy of his jaw then meets his fist with his own. The crippled Tarzan collapses, senseless. In a fury, Riki shouts that the prisoners are not insects, but people. But the ceiling of his cell is already descending upon him. He resists as best he can and doesn't let himself be crushed, but the director launches an electric charge that knocks the guy to the ground. He is saved from death by the surviving Tarzan. Riki bursts out of the cell, punching through the bars in a leap. He tries to help Tarzan get out too, but his efforts are in vain, and the guy gets squashed by the ceiling. Riki appeals to their humanity again, for Tarzan too had loved ones who were waiting for him to be freed. The guy doesn't get to finish his speech though, as he flies into the hatch that opens beneath his feet. He is chained and placed in a pit in the middle of the prison yard. The director announces that Riki-Oh will be buried alive for his misconduct as a warning to the others. The 2 prisoners that protest this get shot on the spot. The wardens order the inmates to bury the guy in the ground with their own hands, and he does not resist and advises the others against doing so. The director promises to release Riki if he survives for 7 days. Cyclops carefully sticks a hollow bamboo stem nearby as a breathing tube. The prisoners are worried about their friend's fate, and at night, they get encouraged by the sound of a whistling tune that echoes around the yard. The 2 surviving captains try to plug the hole in the tube with a piece of meat, but Riki breaks the bamboo in half and uses the dropped meat as food. In his confinement, he is left alone with the memories of his beloved Kiko. One day, the girl was returning home at night and suddenly stumbled upon men who were stealing and using opium. One of the bandits spotted the girl and kidnapped her. The girl managed to escape from the scoundrel's lair, but in a panic, fell off the roof and died. That's why the guy hates everyone who manufactures drugs so much. After that, Riki found the boss who was responsible for the kidnapping and took his revenge. The man put 5 bullets in the guy's chest, and that didn't stop him for a moment. The fighter, who had lost his love, carried out his reprisal in one blow, for which he was arrested and sent to jail. The week comes to an end, and despite the rain and inhumane conditions, Riki is lifted out of the pit alive. He jumps off the backhoe and is immediately attacked by the captains. The prisoners riot over yet another lawlessness and empty promises. Riki is once again imprisoned like a wild beast. But here too, the determined fighter declares that the pig and the wolf cannot be friends. For his insolence, the guy gets hit in the face with a wrench. The captains taunt the boy, demanding to know where he was for 2 years. They put razor blades in his mouth and beat him up, inflicting deep wounds. When the director comes closer to get answers, Riki spits the blades into his face. He replies that his secret will be the last thing the bandits will learn in their lives. At night, one of Riki's friends brings him food to cheer him up, but the assistant warden spots the trespasser, and the next day Cyclops finds him. The warden fatally wounds the man and wants to show the result of his disobedience to the prisoner, but does not find Riki in the cell. The fighter hides under the ceiling and lures the villain inside. He kills the assistant and wounds Cyclops, who is rescued by the approaching guards. They call for backup, while Riki is thanking his friend who is dying in the hallway for helping him. Enraged, the inmates pounce on the fleeing Cyclops and strip him of his other arm. The prisoners also riot against the guards, who are trying to get back the warden. Riki joins the others and turns the squad to flight. He demands that Cyclops lead him to the director. At this time, he and his son are tasting food in the kitchen and severely punishing the cook for having a bad taste. The humiliation is interrupted by Riki, who is surrounded by the cooks, who protect him from the shots using Cyclops' body. The director doesn't care about his subordinate, and without hesitation, puts bullets into him. The block captains join the fight and attack Riki's allies. The guy commands everyone to take cover and takes on the 2 masters. Kwang Chun successfully attacks and scalds Riki with boiling water, but his legs get stuck in the tank. Riki strips the man of his limb, and the last surviving captain tries to escape. The director does not forgive such cowardice and kills the guy himself with an exploding bullet. The man turns out to be a martial arts master who also knows how to transform himself into a huge, ugly giant. The monster challenges Riki to a duel and breaks a column with his body. The guy responds with a punch that pierces through the giant, but that doesn't stop the director. The essence of this style is to feed off the energy of your opponent. Riki gathers his strength into a fist and throws the director into a huge meat grinder. After destroying the enemy, the victor comes out with the man's head in his hands. He stops the fight between the inmates and the guards and destroys the prison wall, letting his allies go free. As always, look for the name of the movie in the video description. And in the meantime, let us know in the comments, what other similar trashy movies have you seen? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like so that more awesome stories come out as often as possible.